Hello, I'm Mike Coetzee with Music Theater Works, and I am joined today by two multi-talented musicians, soloists in their own right, as well as distinguished music directors. First of all, the music director of our upcoming Legends of the 50s and 60s Greatest Hits concert, Jermaine Hill. Hello, Jermaine.
Hi, how are you?
Good,
Hello, Jermaine.
Good. Hi, Alan.
We also have a special guest with us today, Alan Burke, who has performed with such performers as Patti LaBelle, The Drifters, Dionne Warwick, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye, and spent, I think, the better part of 3 decades with that great group, The Spinners.
That's true.
When did you get started with The Spinners, Alan?
Well, frankly, I was in the right place at the right time. During the 60s, the Spinners were on the Motown label and did not have a band that was touring with them at the time. They were booked in Indianapolis and showed up with all these charts. I had a band that was pretty active at the time, and of course, I've been playing keyboards and drums and bass guitar, and I started taking lessons at 7 years old. So I was pretty good at reading music, and I was taking music theory and everything. So they had hired my band to play for them, and although I had a great sounding band, everyone in the band couldn't read music at the time. So I was just transposing their parts for them, letting them know what to play, and we sounded great. The Spinners loved it, and it ended up anytime they came back into Indianapolis, then that expanded to whenever they were playing in Indiana, then that expanded to the surrounding states around Indiana. And I was doing this pretty much as a teenager at the time. I was still in school, but the gigs were all on weekends, and I could do it at the time. And I was fortunate enough to have the same type of relationship with Patti LaBelle when it was Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. So I was playing with them then also.
So this concert we have coming up is basically a look at, boy, I've got the list of songs in front of me, and it's a doozy. So many great numbers from over the years, and of course you were there when these legends were becoming legends. Jermaine is our music director on the concert. Now, Jermaine works, well, he's an educator as well as a musician, and has music directed at, well, just about every theater in town, including the Goodman, Shakespeare, Writers Theater, Drury Lane, Oakbrook, I believe Marriott, Lincolnshire. What is the difference between doing a theatrical presentation or theatrical work as a music director and doing a concert like this?
Well,
go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just my observations of it. There's a lot of similarities, but the differences would be the exact time constraints that Jermaine would have. And I'm very familiar with Jermaine, and he's an excellent music director. I've been to several of his performances and have been very impressed. But the times I've done TV shows, I think those were kind of similar when you only have so much time to do something and it has to fit in, and you have to make the arrangement fit that amount of time and then do that.
Yeah. And then also, one of the nice things about, concert work is that, the artists that we have on our concert are primarily theater people, but the concert environment gives them an opportunity to really add their spin and to bring their artistry to these songs.
That is true.
And so they're really paying homage to the artists, but bringing their different flavor, their approaches to it, which has really been exciting during the rehearsal process to see them just dive into these pieces and add their riffs and their licks and their musicality to it in ways that you sort of can't do in the traditional theater setting sometimes.
Right. Because they're themselves, as opposed to having to embody a consistent character all night.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I must, in the interest of full disclosure, I must reveal that part of the reason Alan is here with us today is that his lovely and talented daughter, Lydia, is part of the cast. Now, Lydia has been a force on the Chicago theater and music scene for some time. She's performed with us in the past, and well, she's a powerhouse, and we're looking forward to seeing her on our stage again.
We're very proud of her.
Oh, I can imagine. And Jermaine, maybe you could tell us a little bit about some of the other performers on this concert. I've been in the next room during some of the rehearsals, and I hear some very exciting voices coming through the walls.
Yeah, we've got a pretty incredible collection of artists. Robin De Silva will be performing with us. She is a main staple of the Chicago theater scene and has performed all over the city. Lydia Burke, of course, who I had the pleasure of working with on Sophisticated Ladies over at Porchlight Music Theater. Adia Bell is a fantastic artist who's, I think, been in town for about 1.5 years or so. Mm-hmm. And we worked together at Drury Lane, Oakbrook. She's actually going to be on the New Faces concert at Porchlight. She's a really great upcoming talent in Chicago, and I think people are really going to enjoy her. Justin Brill is also with us. Justin and I actually teach together at Columbia College Chicago. But he's a veteran of Broadway, national tours, Las Vegas, the Metropolitan Opera. Gilbert Donnelly is a great Chicago actor who has worked all over the place. Evan Tyrone Martin, a brilliant theater artist and concert maker of his own, in his own right. And Curtis Bannister, who is a fantastic tenor, has performed both in musical theater and in opera on stages all over the country. So it's an incredible group of people. We've got fantastic musicians with us. Justin Kono, Dave Sprager, Chuck Webb, and Greg Strauss. So it's a powerhouse musical combination.
I was glad to see that we did have a trumpet in there, because you gotta have a little brass to put some of this stuff across.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
well, I know I'm pretty excited to see it, because I know that the talent there is extraordinary, and I've always been impressed with the work you've done in Chicago before. And frankly, I'm coming to see the show.
Yeah, and what a show it is! Again, I'm the guy who puts together the printed programs. And when I got this list, I was just knocked off my feet. I mean, there's got to be 50 songs here. Yeah. The composition dates, range from the 30s. There's some real golden oldies in there that were given a new spin in the 50s and 60s, that, all the way through the 60s with, Motown stuff and Brill building stuff. What makes these songs, what do those radio stations say? The soundtrack of your life. What makes these songs the greatest hits? Any ideas?
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head as far as this being the soundtrack of their formative years of the people that are enjoying the music, and they love hearing those songs, and when they're performed well. It's just an enjoyable thing. When we've done our shows, people want to hear the hits,
Yeah, and they're just brilliantly written songs. I mean, you sort of don't get. I mean, I maybe dating myself a little bit, but you just don't get songwriting like that. I mean, it's catchy, but it's also moving and surprising and fun and toe tapping, and I mean it's fantastic music. And we had a really hard time. I mean, our list was even longer. And we kept having to pare things back and trying to find, the best representative pieces of those periods, the 50s and 60s. But it's just great music. Great music.
I remember back when I was a little kid, me and my teenage cousin would take the bus downtown and go to Woolworths and buy 45s. And I wonder if some of what you're talking about with the sort of brilliant sort of concision and getting to the point of these songs is partially dictated by the short playing times of those 45 RPM records.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They all had to be sort of under 3 minutes, especially for the radio as well.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of excellent songs to choose from when you think of Motown. Atlantic Records had so many things going, and you had the Wall of Sound girl groups.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited to hear everything that you guys have gotten together for this.
So Jermaine, have you put together the vocal arrangements for this program? That's got to be a tall order with all these different voices and all these different pieces of music.
It is. What's really great about these artists is that I've worked with them before, and I know their work, and so because I know their voices, it was really sort of easy to find keys and figure out how we were going to do background vocals. And they've been so wonderful and nimble. I mean, sometimes I just sort of come in with ideas in my head and I sort of pound them out and give them to them, sort of in the way that music was created, sort of at the time as well. Like, not necessarily everything is notated. And they've been just really great about absorbing that and coming up with ideas of their own. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. That's really great. That's really fun. Let's go in that direction. And then all the band charts as well, getting those ready for the players. Yeah. So it's been a lot of work, but it's going to be really, really great.
Can't wait to see it. I would be remiss if I did not ask Alan, having him here today. You have worked with so many iconic performers, and I'm sure you have a million great stories. Could you tell us one at least about anybody?
Well, let me see. I would say the most exciting single performance I had. I mean, I don't have any dirt that I'm sharing on anyone, but it was just no. I mean, it was just so exciting when we were celebrating the 40th anniversary of Atlantic Records. Now, the Spinners started in the 60s on Motown, and they had a few hits with Motown. Their very first one in 1961, That's What Girls Are Made For. They had one, Truly Yours, and I'll Always Love You. And the biggest hit that the Spinners had with Motown was It's a Shame, which was written and produced by Stevie Wonder. And frankly, I just found out some other information on it. Stevie was playing all kinds of instruments then, so I was just under the impression that Stevie Wonder had played all the instruments. But I found out that that Marvin Gaye was the drummer for that particular recording. So that was pretty interesting.
Wow, what a lineup.
Then the Spinners had left Motown and went with Tom Bell at Atlantic Records. And that was right when I'll Be Around came out. And that was when I joined them again and started touring with them full time. And, that first album had like 4 or 5 gold records on it. And we just had the opportunity to do all the TV shows that were popular at the time. But referring back to the Atlantic Records celebration, I got to perform with all the groups that I had been looking forward to seeing. If you can think of everyone that was on Atlantic Records at the time, I mean, they had so many groups on there, and they were interested in being sharing a stage with the Spinners. So that was a real thrill for me.
Fantastic. I remember seeing the Spinners, golly, I think it must have been the late 80s. They were such showmen. They had such a great, act together. Remember the shtick they used to do with the big rubber band. Oh
yeah, Rubber Band Man. We ended a lot of shows that way. Yeah. And I was at that show in the 80s that you were talking about. So
I think they were opening for Aretha Franklin at the Chicago Theater, if memory serves.
I remember that very well. I remember that individual concert. Yeah, we had a lot of fun on that. Wow. And Rubber Band Man with Rubber Band Routine was always a nice showstopper on that.
It certainly did stop the show.
Mentioning Aretha Franklin, I got to add her name to my resume. Although I had done a lot of shows where the Spinners were on a show with Aretha Franklin, I received the call to work with her on a few shows the last year of her doing any shows before she passed away. So that was just
Wow.
kind of heartfelt for me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So Jermaine, what are some of the highlights that we should be looking forward to in this concert, or things that you particularly love?
Ooh, let's see. There's some fantastic performances of some of the greatest hits of the 50s and 60s that are going to bring you back to that era of music. And it's going to excite you with these incredible voices and their take and their spin on this music. There's some great ensemble moments that are going to get the audience up on their feet, enjoying this music as we start coming back to the theater and to live performance. I mean, literally every number in the show sort of feels like a showstopper, and it just keeps getting better and keeps delivering. So it's going to be a really great afternoon and evening.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we're really looking forward to Legends of the 50s and 60s Greatest Hits coming up in just a few weeks at Music Theater Works, the inaugural production of our new season. We're back, baby. Can't wait to see you all.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh gosh, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you. And thank you, Jermaine.
Thank you very much. Great to see you, Alan.
Great to see you, Jermaine. I'll see you when I come to the show.
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks again. And thank you for watching.